Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into a recent study about a massive meteorite that hit Earth billions of years ago.
3.26 billion, to be exact.
Wow, yeah, 3.26 billion years ago. And get this, it was 200 times bigger than the one that wiped out the dinosaurs.
Can you imagine?
It's hard to even fathom. This study from Harvard, published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, suggests that while this event was catastrophic, it may have actually helped early life.
Yeah, it's incredible what we can learn from just looking at rocks. This study really shows how geological evidence can, take us back billions of years.
It's mind-blowing. You try to picture standing on the coast, say somewhere like Cape Cod, wading in the water.
Okay, I'm there.
Then out of nowhere, this massive meteorite slams into the Earth.
Oh, wow.
I can't even imagine.
It would have been absolutely devastating. The study mentions immediate colossal tsunamis, hundreds or even thousands of feet high, just wiping out everything.
It's hard to believe anything could survive that.
And on top of that, the impact would have made the ocean boil at the surface from the heat, and a massive cloud of dust would have blocked out the sun.
For how long?
For years, maybe even decades.
Wow, it's incredible that anything survived that.
And that's where the Barberton Greenstone Belt comes in.
Where's that?
It's in South Africa. This area holds the evidence of this ancient impact. Scientists, they meticulously analyzed rock samples from there.
How do they do that?
Centimeter by centimeter to kind of piece together what happened.
It blows my mind how scientists can figure out these ancient events from these tiny clues.
It really is remarkable.
So, what did they find out about the impact on early life? Did anything actually survive?
Well, remember that 3.26 billion years ago, life on Earth was mainly bacteria, archaea, single-celled organisms, and they are incredibly resilient.
So they were able to, ride out this cosmic storm.
More than just ride it out. The findings suggest that the impact actually caused a huge increase in certain types of bacteria.
Which ones?
Specifically, those that feed on iron and phosphorus.
Wait, so a giant meteorite hitting Earth somehow helped these bacteria thrive. How's that possible?
It's all about the changes that happen to the environment. Think of the tsunamis. They would turn up the ocean, bringing up iron-rich water from the depths.
So like a buffet for these bacteria.
Exactly. And then there's the meteorite itself, along with all the increased weathering and erosion it caused. All of that brought a ton of phosphorus to the Earth's surface. Just what these bacteria needed to thrive.
This is totally changing my perspective on these meteorite impacts. I always thought of them as purely destructive events. But this study shows that they could have played a much more complex role in shaping life on Earth.
Exactly. And it makes you think, were impacts like this common? Were they a regular part of life for these early organisms?
Yeah.
Well, the Barberton Greenstone Belt tells an interesting story. It contains evidence of at least 8 major impact events from this early period in Earth's history.
Wow, so these catastrophic events weren't isolated incidents. They were recurring occurrences that may have actually been super important for life developing on Earth.
It really makes you rethink things, doesn't it?
It really does. It makes you wonder about what kind of adaptations these early organisms developed to survive these impacts.
That's a great question. It makes you wonder what other secrets they're hiding.
I guess we'll have to wait for part 2 to dive deeper into that.
When we talk about these ancient bacteria thriving, it's easy to think of them just sort of passively surviving.
Right.
But it was a lot more dynamic than that. They were actively adapting and evolving because of these crazy conditions.
So what kind of superpowers did these bacteria have that allowed them to not just survive, but really take off in this post-impact world?
Well, first think about the insane heat from the impact.
Yeah.
These bacteria probably evolved incredible heat resistance.
Like how?
Maybe they developed unique proteins that could still work even in super high temperatures.
That's wild. They had their own internal AC unit or something.
Exactly.
What about the pressure from those giant tsunamis? Could they handle that?
That's another thing they probably adapted to. Maybe their cell walls were super tough, able to withstand that crushing pressure.
Oh.
Or they might have had ways to quickly repair any damage from the pressure changes.
So little microscopic tanks just taking a beating and keep on going. But what about all the changes in the environment? All that iron and phosphorus becoming available.
Right.
How did they use that?
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. These bacteria probably evolved new ways to use these resources.
Okay.
Some might have gotten super efficient at absorbing iron,
Uh-huh.
while others might have found ways to turn phosphorus into energy. It's like they suddenly had this giant buffet and figured out how to eat everything.
It's crazy to think about these microscopic life forms adapting on such a massive scale.
Yeah.
It really changes how you think about bacteria.
For sure. And remember, all of this is happening while the environment is totally changing.
Oh, right, from the impact.
Yeah, the impact would have completely changed the atmosphere, the oceans, the land. And these bacteria were not just surviving, but like shaping and being shaped by these changes.
It's like a back and forth between life and the environment.
Exactly.
But how do scientists know all this? We're talking about stuff that happened billions of years ago.
That's where the geology comes in. Remember those rock samples from the Barberton Greenstone Belt?
Yeah, the ones they were studying really closely.
Exactly. So by looking at what these rocks are made of, scientists can find signs of the impact and how it changed the environment.
Okay.
For example, the impact would have been so hot it melted the rock, creating something called impact melt.
Impact melt.
Yeah, and when they find traces of this mixed in with the other rock layers, that's a sure sign of an impact.
So it's like finding the leftovers of a giant space campfire.
Yeah. But how can they tell what kinds of bacteria were around and how they were affected?
Right.
Well, they don't just look at what the rocks look like.
Hmm.
They also look at what they're made of.
Oh.
Like what elements and isotopes are in them. These are kind of like chemical fingerprints that can tell us a lot about past environments and the life that was there.
Hold on. Break that down for me. What are isotopes? And how can they tell us about ancient bacteria?
Imagine you have a box of Legos.
Okay, I'm with you.
Most of them are your normal red bricks, but you've got a few blue ones mixed in.
Okay.
Those blue ones are like isotopes. They're the same basic element, but they weigh a bit differently.
Okay.
And just like you can learn something about whoever built the Lego model by seeing how those red and blue bricks are arranged, scientists can learn about past life by looking at the patterns of different isotopes in rocks.
So these isotopes are like secret messages from the past, hidden in the rocks.
Exactly. And different organisms prefer to use certain isotopes over others. So by analyzing the amounts of different isotopes in the rocks, scientists can figure out what types of organisms were living there and even get hints about what they were doing.
Like what kind of hints?
For example, if they find a lot of a specific iron isotope, they might think, hey, iron-loving bacteria were probably thriving here.
It's like they're using some super microscope to look back in time and see these ancient microbes.
Pretty much. And the more we learn about these early life forms and how they dealt with these big events, the more we understand how resilient life really is.
It makes you wonder, if these tiny bacteria could handle all that, what other crazy stuff are they hiding? What other secrets are we going to uncover? It's been wild, hasn't it? Talking about this huge meteorite impact and learning about how tough these ancient bacteria were.
It's amazing to think how important those tiny organisms were for life on Earth.
It really makes you wonder, if one meteorite could have such a big impact, what does that mean for life on other planets?
That's what's so cool about this study. It changes how we think about looking for life in space. You know, if these big events were so important for life on Earth, how might they have shaped life on other worlds?
Yeah, it's like, maybe we shouldn't just be looking for planets that are like Earth is now, but also consider those that had these big events happen to them too.
What if those events, like volcanoes, asteroids, big climate changes, are really important for life to start? What if they're like a kickstart, mixing things up and making it possible for new life to pop up?
Like a giant reset button. It's a little scary, but also really exciting to think about.
Totally. It changes how we think about what a good environment for life is. Maybe those planets that seem too harsh or unstable are actually where the coolest and toughest life is hiding.
So instead of looking for a planet that's like Earth's twin, we should be looking for planets that have a bit more going on.
Yeah. A history of events that have forced life to adapt and evolve in cool ways.
So if we see signs of past catastrophes on other planets, that might actually be a good thing.
It could be a clue that life might have had a chance to get started and develop in ways we can't even imagine.
It's a whole new way of looking for aliens. We might not be looking for little green men, but for something totally different that's adapted to crazy environments.
And who knows, maybe by studying how those life forms adapted, we could find solutions to problems we have here on Earth.
It shows that even when things seem impossible, life finds a way. By learning about life's history on our planet, we might just unlock the secrets to understanding life across the universe.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it? We started with this study about a meteorite, and now we're talking about the whole universe.
It shows that we're all part of this huge story of life, a story that's been shaped by so many forces, and it's still going on.
So next time you look up at the stars, think about the crazy journey that life has taken to get here.
And remember, even when things are tough, there's always a chance for something new and amazing to happen.
Well said.
That wraps up our deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and keep exploring and asking questions about the universe.
And until next time, keep looking up.
This, The Deep Dive, signing off.